If you are watching this, I don't know how, because we aren't on the channel guide. It's politicking, and it's next. All right. Now all of a sudden we are Arsenio Hall, right? Welcome to a show where politics is a joke. It's Politicking with Tony King, brought to you by Service First Real Estate. Whether buying, selling, or looking for investment properties, contact Service First, where they value relationships over transactions. Boy, do we have a great show for you tonight. We have candidate for District 6 House seat, Quentin Anthony Anderson, joining us tonight. He'll be telling us about the passion that is driving his campaign. And also, of course, you know, we got some local stuff, some national stuff, some more local stuff, and a whole lot of craziness, which means one thing.
What?
The Seriously Unserious News Report. Last week, two people who ain't never gonna be president decided to meet up on primetime and talk about policies they'll implement, even though they'll never be president. Vice presidential nominees Tim Walz and J.D. Vance spent 2 hours in primetime arguing over who could be better at not being president. I mean, having a vice presidential debate is like having two side chicks arguing over who gonna treat you better. I mean, that ain't the main thing. The only thing vice presidents do is break ties in the Senate and certify elections. and speaking of certifying elections, J.D. Vance accidentally admitted that the Biden-Harris ticket won in 2020. Ooh. Y'all really sounded like that was juicy. Said that like that was some tea. He said, and I quote, "Vice President Harris needs to step up and do the job the American people voted her to do." The job the American people elected her to do? Interesting, Vance, interesting. Side note, doesn't J.D. Vance look like he wear makeup on his eyes? I mean, it's like he been watching a smoky eye tutorial on YouTube or something. And in keeping with the presidential election, recently, Melania Trump made headlines by speaking out in favor of abortion rights. Oh. A stance that contrasts sharply with her husband Donald Trump's position. Y'all. In a video promoting her upcoming memoir, she emphasized the importance of individual freedom, particularly a woman's right to make decisions about her own body. Okay. She stated, quote, "There's no room for compromise when it comes to this essential right that all women possess from birth," end quote, and question my body, my choice, and what it really means. I guess now she's all about my body, my choice, which is why she's chosen not to sleep with Donald Trump in years. I mean, do you blame her? You know, I'm starting to think, and I'm really convinced, Melania hates Donald Trump just as much as Democrats do. Got to. Now, Donald Trump, or as I like to call him, Trump Pak Shakur, recently returned to Butler, Pennsylvania, the scene of his assassination attempt, where he was joined by billionaire Elon Musk. Now, nothing is wrong with that, but that wasn't what made it weird. I mean, why is Musk doing his best cheerleader routine on stage? Look at him, just jumping around for... And what was most shocking about the rally was Elon Musk saying on stage, quote, "I'm dark MAGA." What? Elon, you ain't dark anything. I mean, this is dark MAGA. And even this is dark MAGA. You were just regular old white MAGA. Y'all are hilarious, man. I'm telling you. And in local news, the St. George leader a pro-St. George newspaper, recently quoted mayoral candidate Coach Sid is saying he, quote, vows to bulldoze every trap house in Baton Rouge. He really said that.
Even in Dixon.
Coach Sid said, if you do that, I just want to know one thing, man. If you do that, where my grandma gonna stay? Because see, Coach Sid believes that people are selling drugs out of abandoned buildings. Like, man, it's 2024. They selling drugs out of St. George. And he went on to say that they're selling drugs and conducting prostitution out of these homes. Coach Sid, who's having sex in an abandoned home? I mean, it takes a new kind of savage to have sex in a home of squalor.
Mike Quentin.
Where are these people? Coach said it's 2024. They having prostitution in regular old apartments now. Don't ask me how I know.
How you know?
Judge Tiffany Foxworth Roberts recently had to take the stand to defend herself against campaign claims that she lied about her military service record. Ooh. As Foxworth Roberts campaigned for a state judgeship in 2020, advertisements billed her as a veteran who rose to the rank of captain in the U.S. Army and served in 3 wars: Desert Storm, Iraq, and Afghanistan.
Thank you for your service.
The Louisiana Judiciary Commission says, though, that Foxworth Roberts actively fought its efforts to obtain her military records, which showed that she never attained the rank of captain. Ooh. And she claimed she was in Desert Storm, which she was only 16 years old during Desert Storm. Hey. Let's give her a little grace here. I mean, who hasn't lied to get a job? I mean, how you think I got this one? Hell, I done lied on every job application I had. I mean, I done been manager at Toys R Us, Circuit City, Radio Shack, all the places that don't exist anymore. I was a manager at. But Judge Foxworth Roberts says she never meant to mislead anyone and that she believed her work stateside after the war was just as important as actually serving. She said when she was a soldier in the 90s, she really meant a no-limit soldier. Me too, Tiffany. Me too. Recently, Breck and the Baton Rouge Zoo just conducted its ribbon cutting of its Phase 1 renovation project. I'm excited about this because the old zoo was a little run down. I mean, they didn't even have animals. I mean, not the exotic ones that you expect to see in a zoo. I mean, one time I went to the zoo and they had a pit bull exhibit. See pit bulls everywhere. And they weren't even purebred pit bulls. They were like pits mixed with other dogs. Like that ain't no pit bull, that's a cockapit. Pause. Anyway, and that's gonna do it for our Seriously Unserious News Report. Stick around.
That was seriously unserious.
We will be conversing with District 6 congressional candidate Quentin Anthony Anderson about his campaign. It's Politicking with Tony King. Stick around.
Regular people don't always get a fair shake in our legal system. To effectively serve a community, a judge must be of the community. Niles Hamer has experience as both a prosecutor and defense attorney. This unique perspective will truly render fair and impartial rulings, giving the people the best outcome. Vote Niles Hamer for City Court Judge Division C. Paid for by the Niles Hamer for Judge Committee.
You like wine, right? Okay, well, come and follow me, like and share.
Welcome back to the show where the second take is better than the first one. It's Politicking with Tony King, powered by Service First Real Estate. Our first guest is campaigning to represent the 6th District of Louisiana in Washington. Please welcome Quentin Anthony Anderson.
Thank you.
audience wild, ain't it?
It's crazy.
Oh
It's
man,
crazy.
it's good to have you here, man.
Thank you for having me, bro.
I'm grateful that you've been able to take some time off from the campaign trail
Yeah.
and join us here. You've been pretty busy, man.
Yeah, we got into the campaign officially March 17th, and in Louisiana, for whatever reason, everybody runs after filing in July, so this is considered an extraordinarily long campaign.
So this is your first time running for an election this big. I mean,
This big, yeah. I ran for council
yeah.
4 years ago.
Yeah, you know, this is to see who's going to represent us here in Washington.
Yeah.
What are some of the things that you've discovered, you know, as you've campaigned?
I think a few things. From a voter perspective, I think I've learned that the less I talk, the better I do. Because because the job, at the end of the day, the job is about representation. It's about whatever issues are on the docket. How do you best represent the interests of the people back home? And if it's done right, it should be one of the most selfless jobs in government, where you kind of put your own interests aside and you represent the collective. So when I go places and I just listen, people think that I'm really smart, but really they're making me smarter because I get to kind of have a better idea of, okay, this matters to you. And the more you talk to me and give me perspective, the more informed I can sound when I talk about it on your behalf. And so in a lot of ways, in a lot of ways, that makes it easy, right? I think the other thing that I've learned, I've called this probably the greatest civics lesson on earth, is I've learned why the status quo is so hard to defeat. I've learned why things are the way that they are. Because, if you've driven up and down Florida Boulevard, you'd be like, well, obviously things need to change. I mean, they've needed to change for generations. But then, elections come around and we start to fall into usual habits. And
Borderline Stockholm.
A little bit, right? We will talk about how, man, we need to get rid of throw out all the bums, or we'll talk about the change that we need. But then come election time, we sort of vote for the same folks again. And we wonder why things remain stagnant. And, so, I wondered why. But in running, you start to realize kind of how we get there. You start to realize how we've gotten conditioned to do certain things.
Now, you make a point about, you said, being selfless, listening to what the people are saying versus your own interests. I think right there, you just actually said why, some have had such or why you've had some sort of a greater, I don't want to say challenge, but a greater hill to climb. Because you have some that actually put their interests above the interests of the people versus actually serving. Do you find that the people that you've encountered here in Baton Rouge and all over, because the district is beyond just where we are, have you found that people are dissatisfied and are willing to actually stand with you at the polls?
Yeah. In fact, I think sometimes people think that I'm either delusional or I know something that other people don't, and that I got into this race. Because if you're here, the front runner in this race is a very well-known politician. But from my perspective, having been around politics, not just here, but around the country, what I saw was a deeply polarizing figure that wasn't really able to articulate very well on most of the issues. So from my perspective, especially having grown up here, I'd always heard people complain about that particular politician. So that lane seemed wide open. It seemed crazy to me that other people weren't running.
Well, you just said it. It's one of those things where you have people who can express some level of dissatisfaction. You mentioned, driving up the street and seeing things that haven't necessarily changed. And you talked about, not being able to articulate those issues. One thing that I've seen is that the forums that have been present, I haven't even actually seen other candidates, especially the candidate, who may be another candidate in this race, hasn't even been present, let alone been able to articulate what's going on. Why do you think that might be?
Well, because, there are some people who are of the belief that if you just see me, if you see my signs, if you see my name, if I've been around a long time, that you'll know what to do because you've always done it. And when you sort of fall into that habit over time, maybe 30 years ago you were at least talking about a handful of issues that you kind of had an understanding of. But as you keep getting reelected and you do less, you start to also believe that all you need to do is, remind people of what your name is, and they'll do as you say. You say jump, they ask how high. And I think that that's what you're seeing. You're seeing that, and it's not even just on the Democratic side. It happened last year. Jeff Landry skipped a lot of those candidate forums and debates. And what you're finding is, I think, a belittling and disrespect of the voters. This belief that you all will vote for me regardless of what comes out of my mouth or what I don't say. You all will vote for me regardless of if I deliver or not, because you always have. And so part of this race has almost felt like, disconnecting people out of the matrix, where it's like, no, your interests are on the ballot right now. Nobody is making you vote this way. This is where you hold politicians accountable. You don't hold them accountable after Election Day. They've gotten what they wanted from you. So when you just sort of fall into this almost like zombie-like trance during election time, where you might get a ballot in the mail and you're like, I guess this is who we're voting for, and then you go and vote, and then after Election Day you wonder why things haven't changed, it's probably some of that behavior that's not intentional, right? You're not thinking about the candidates, you're not being proactive, you're just sort of doing what somebody's telling you to.
Now, you talked about articulating the issues. And I don't want to spend or give a lot of energy to, other things. Let us know about what your platform is. Let us know what are some of the things that you're driving to do in Washington on behalf of District 6.
Yeah, I think one of the first things I want to do is I want to fight for working people. I want to fight for the average person that's just kind of hustling. One of my I don't get to talk about it as much, but in my biography, I'm a small business owner, but I'm the sort of modern small business owner where I have a full-time job working for an employer, and I see that as my side hustle. My entrepreneurial pursuit is the thing that I care most about. So the job that I do 9 to 5 only enables me to being able to continue to build. And so like every few months I can invest more capital in it and that sort of thing. So I bring that perspective, I think, to the office, where I'm not, represented by big business or big interests. I'm represented by average folks that are just kind of hustling and trying to figure out, how they can make their dream possible, and they're willing to work hard for it. Thank you. But I think most importantly, what I'm running for, or what I'm running against, is a political culture in this town that has really made progress really difficult. A culture that is unresponsive to the people. I think that if I can do well in this race, I think that if I can win, what it does is it breaks down some of that veil of inevitability that the establishment, that the status quo has here. I think that it can open up doors in terms of the possibilities of grassroots candidates, people who are good people, passionate about the issues, really smart, but otherwise, like if you're from Baton Rouge, if you're from Louisiana, you know some of the compromises you have to make, some of the people you have to get into bed with to be successful here. I think if we can... I had to. but I think that if we're able to do this, not just in a race this high profile, not just against an opponent that's as entrenched and as represents sort of the status quo as he does, think about the possibilities of what that means for those candidates that otherwise thought it wasn't possible here. So I think that really we're running against an environment, and we're hoping that if we can, create cracks in that environment, we really can bring about real change.
Sounds like it's more of an ideology that you're running against, which I think would probably make to be a little different, because it's not just one person, it's the thought process of a collective that kind of drives everything. Is that something?
It's a system, right? I guess what I'm running against is bought and paid for politicians, bought and paid for political systems where they get elected, saying whatever maybe they have to say, the bare minimum, maybe giving you a turkey around Thanksgiving, maybe giving you a backpack, but then they don't advance any of your interests behind the scenes.
And the backpack, and the crazy thing, the backpack don't even have all the crayons in it.
No,
the one with 8.
But
my kid need the 24.
But here's what I will say about like the backpack drives and the turkey giveaways is for generations in our community, we have been pandered to by politicians that will come into our community and they will tell us what we want to hear. And then sort of what I was just talking about, as soon as they get into office, they won't deliver for us. So what happens in our community, particularly with community leaders, is we become more transactional. We really don't think you're going to do anything for us when you get elected, so we start to prioritize the politicians that will at least do something for us before the election. So maybe you're not going to do anything for us when you get to Congress, but at least you gave $315 an hour jobs to canvassers during the election. You gave our church a couple $1,000s to be able to power the vans during GOTV. You know, you did the backpack giveaway, you did the turkey. We will prioritize the politician that at the very least gives us our money up front, since we know we're not going to get it on the back end.
Very little up front.
That's right. And so that feeds into it, right? The politicians are already playing into our low expectations. I call it the racism of low expectations. They're playing into it, but then our community leaders are also buying into it too. They're like, yeah, no, these politicians ain't no good. So the folks that you're going to hear about, the ballots that you get from me, are going to be the people that, wrote the check up front. And that just sort of perpetuates the system.
A political grifting system.
That's exactly right. That's exactly based on cynicism.
Now, one thing that I would be remiss not to mention is that, you know, you're running against an establishment candidate, but you yourself are pretty young. You look very young. Do you ever find, even though you have this wealth of experience, do you ever find people, you know, you having to convince people like, no, I have this government experience. I have this experience working in this. Do you ever find yourself having to convince them?
Oh, yeah. I mean, I think that's just kind of the nature of being the young candidate, is that people always presume that, you know, you're kind of the upstart that is trying to cut in line, that sort of thing. And then in particular, when you're running, we have two state senators. One's a former state senator, one's a current state senator that are in the race. The presumption is that the legislators are the only people who kind of know how to legislate. And that's not the case. Obviously, especially in a town like Baton Rouge, you would think that that would be a little bit more understood, that advocacy is happening both in government and on the outside of government. And I have that experience. You know, in I don't like how time works. 9 years ago.
It reminds you how old you really are.
It is.
You just look young.
My barber found a gray hair, and I didn't need him to show it to me. But
just wait, man. You're going to get older. You going to find the gray hair, and it's going to be somewhere nobody going to look.
That is how my mom discovered my dad's gray hairs, and I don't know why we all had to learn about that.
I ain't trying to find out about that.
But
I done had a few gray hairs discovered too, you know.
I got some inspecting later. I lost my train of thought.
That's what we here for.
That's good.
I'm joking.
In 2015, I served as the campaign director for an advocacy campaign in Illinois. It was called the Campaign for Common Sense School Discipline Reform. And if you're familiar with the school to prison pipeline, you know, when kids are getting suspended and expelled, they're more likely to find themselves in the criminal justice system. So we were trying to reform that. But what I got hired to do was, one, finish negotiating the bill. Our sponsor wanted us not to have any opposition, and that's very difficult to do. But her priority was getting a bill passed. So she said, no opposition, that way we can guarantee that it passes. And we can guarantee that a Republican governor will sign it. So what my job was not only to negotiate the legislation, but to sell that legislation to not only progressives who already believed in it and they were there for the racial justice argument, but to sell it to, you know, conservative Democrats that weren't comfortable talking about racial justice, or conservative Republicans that didn't want to give Democrats a win. And what I learned during that process is, you know, in a functional democracy, your job is not just to preach to the choir. You have to figure out, how do I get Jim, that does not see the world the way that I do, doesn't come from my background, isn't going to be motivated by what I'm motivated by, how do I get him to yes? How do I not change what I'm trying to do? How do I not change the values of what I'm trying to do? But how do I make the thing that I'm trying to do speak to Jim's interests? And now how do I do that, you know, in Congress for 215 other people?
Now what you're talking about sounds like real government.
Well, that's if it works. That's if it works. And that's if also, like, you know, the people that we send to the legislature go in that good faith of understanding, well, of course I'm not going to get 100% of what I want. There are 434 other people here.
Wait, did you just say the amount of people in the actual U.S. House of Representatives?
That is right. That is right.
That's funny. I once asked that question when I was moderating a debate, and the candidate had zero clue.
You know, there's a lot of information out there. It's hard to keep track.
Well, my friend's 4th grade son answered the question, and that kind of bothered. Then another, I'm sorry to get off the top. Then another one, I asked, what makes a simple majority? And he sat there and actually divided it in his head. He was like, if you carry the one, I'll say it's division. You don't carry the one, but
you know,
it's neither here nor there. But just you know, because I know time is of the essence, and I don't want to hold you too long. Where can people find out how they can help give a little jump start to your campaign? Because we want to see you get over the finish line. What can they do? Where can they go to connect with you and possibly give you the resources needed in order to power through the finish line?
Yeah, so this is always the weird part where you got to do the plug, but Anderson2024.org, that's our website, and I'm very proud of our website because we actually talk about the issues.
Yeah.
And if you have an issue that you care about that I haven't talked about already, we have a form, you fill it out, and every night I actually check that, and so I'm responding to emails, adding the issues and the policy positions on there. But that's also where, yeah, you can donate money. We're not going to outraise our opponent. Our opponent has plenty of money, and he's spending it right now. But we don't have to, because I do think that we have a message that resonates. So for every 10 people that hear his message, or for every 10 times somebody hears his message, if they hear ours once, they want ours, because they've heard that for a long time, and they want something different. So we don't feel like we have to outraise, but we do have to have the resources necessary, not only to run a competitive campaign, but a campaign that is, I think, deserving of the folks that believe in us. You know, it's not good enough just to run to make a point. Policy is made when you win.
And that's exactly what you will be doing if elected to Congress. Hey, definitely appreciate you for stopping by.
Absolutely.
You can visit the website, Anderson2024.org. Find out more information about Quentin Anthony Anderson. We have more on the way right here with PoliTicKING. Stay tuned. Welcome back to a show where it's the same suit, different tie. It's PoliTicKING with Tony King, powered by Service First Real Estate. Whether buying, selling, or just want to get involved in some investment property, Service First Real Estate is your destination. They'll walk you through the entire process from start to finish. Give them a call. Tell them Tony King sent you. Now, it's time to get a little serious. October is Domestic Violence Awareness Month. It's a month where we uplift survivors of domestic violence and remember those we unfortunately lost. And though this is a comedy show, it is important to note that domestic violence is never funny. Well, unless it's happening to men. How many times have you been on social media and seen a video like this?
Listen to me, you stupid. You stupid.
And look in the comments. It's people making jokes most times about from women, and they're talking about how weak the man is, or what did he do, girl? He probably deserved it. Could you imagine if we said that about women victims? I mean, Tyler Perry has made millions upon millions with a character who not only condones but encourages domestic violence. And who didn't cheer in Diary of a Mad Black Woman when Helen rolled Charles' ass up in that bathtub?
Right.
I mean, even in films like This Christmas, when Regina King's character poured baby oil on Laz Alonso's character, that was so much baby oil, even Diddy was jealous. Everybody gets a kick out of that one. And what about when Ike Turner beat Tina? Huh? Oh, see, y'all ain't do it then. Did anybody chuckle when Diddy's video came out when he beat Cassie? Of course not, because we're not monsters. And you may be saying, hey, Tony, one is fiction, the other one really happened. But I push back. Is it really fiction? Statistics show that 1 in 4 women experience violence at the hands of a domestic partner. Those same stats by the CDC show that 1 in 7 men also experience violence at the hands of a domestic partner, though they actually suggest that more may actually do it. That's a difference of 8 percentage points. If an NBA team lost by 8 points, that's a relatively close game. So why condone one and condemn the other? And please, don't mistake what I'm saying. I'm not overshadowing the violence that many women experience in relationships. Perpetrators should be dealt with and through the law. I'm simply saying that women who commit the same acts should also be equally dealt with through the law.
Right.
I mean, after all, isn't that equality? So this October, I ask that we not only support the survivors of these heinous acts, I also ask that we teach all, both men and women, that domestic violence has no place in relationships. And it definitely has no place in comedy. Because domestic violence is no laughing matter. It's politicking. We'll be back. Welcome back to the show where that broom don't sweep. It's PoliTicKIng with Tony King, powered by Service First Real Estate. And it's time for our panel discussion. Joining us, we have the founder and executive director of the second largest girls organization in the state of Louisiana and former MTV2 VJ, the outstanding mature girl herself, Sashika Baunchand. Also joining us is community organizer, entertainer, and founder of Ghetto Waze. Let him hear it, Johnnie Domino. Now,
did you say second?
what are Girl Scouts, man? And that's only because that's national.
So we're homegrown, so we're number one.
Number one.
Yeah!
I was talking about the, you know, it be your own people. But no, tell us about it, because you guys have been doing this for more than 10 years, and you actually are boots to the ground, impacting the lives of young girls every day. Tell us about it real quick.
So we have 3 sites now.
Mm-hmm.
So we have, I guess you can say we rebuilt our site in New Orleans, because
Yes.
we've been there, and
Right.
then Hurricane Ida came and dismantled everything.
Right.
So we're back in New Orleans. We have a site now, Sherwood,
Okay.
South Sherwood.
Okay. Ooh. All right now.
And of course, our headquarters is in Central.
Okay. Good deal. Good deal. Y'all can give it up for that. Impacting the lives of young women all day. And Johnny, we have Ghetto Waze.
Yeah.
Growing. Crazy.
Yeah.
Tell us about it.
It's a crazy world. It's doing that on its own, Tony. I'm not
Yeah.
doing nothing.
Yeah.
It's God. It's God. God gave me media power.
You know what, man? I love that, man. You know, when people can, you know, show humility in their talent and their growth and how it impacts people. One thing that I found is that it's been a source for some people. That's their only news source.
Yeah,
is Rich Nothing.
I'm just a translator. Like, I go listen to the political jargon, like what Quentin was talking about earlier.
Yeah.
And if I don't know a word, I got about 2 that I got from him that I gotta go look up. Nah, I'm for real though.
Yeah.
I'm gonna figure it out.
He a smart brother.
Man, he's smart, man. He changed my vote. I'll say that on camera. Hey, I'm down with your Q.
It's funny you say that about changing the vote and about what Quentin brought earlier in the show. And Ghetto Waze being a site for news. With the national election, how are you navigating all of that in terms of making sure that they're getting accurate news and making sure that, you know, you're informing the people, you know, to the best of your ability?
We just trying to figure out, like me personally, everybody over there at Ghetto Waze, you know, it's multiple people. We got staff now, we got people that run it. But me personally, I do my own thing. It's kind of spiritual. Like, people come talk to me. I'm always in the neighborhood. I work in Metro Health, so I'm still in the community all the time. Like, you know, all of us, like, we community-based. Like, we've been community-based for over so many decades. So it's like,
you ain't gotta say so many decades, man. What you saying it like that
I'm a
for?
pawpaw, Tony. I ain't running from it. I ain't coloring no gray. I'm so glad to be
Color
here.
mine every Thursday.
Man, I'm so glad to just be here. So glad to be here, alive and free, Tony.
I'm still playing 32.
I made 43 on September 30th, man.
Congratulations.
Thank you, man. Thank you.
Now, both of you all are in the community heavy.
Right.
And with the national election coming, what are you guys hearing about how people are feeling about it?
To me, okay, look, first of all, no matter how bad it get, I can't go against the person who the white supremacists fool with. Like, we've been through too much for me to allow Trump or anybody, you know what I'm saying? Now, I got my problem with her, and I feel like Biden, I don't know what he even doing. Like, he sleep. He not even here, bro.
Right now, we might need to send a wellness check on
Man,
President
they need
Biden.
to do a check on him for real. Like
Yeah.
like everybody be telling in the streets, tell somebody to do a health check
I'm
on
gonna be
it.
honest with you. I don't think, now that you mention it, I don't think I've seen President Biden in a couple months.
President Biden hadn't seen himself in a couple months. I do every bit of 94, man. I'm talking about.
But here's the thing. That's actually how an 80-plus-year-old man is supposed to be. He's supposed to
he's supposed to be retired. Like, why is he running the country right now? And then this the other thing. Why black men hate black women so much? See, I don't have mommy issues, fellas. I love my mom.
But here's the thing. You said, why does it seem like black men hate black women? I guess what you're talking about
when
is
Kamala
how...
raised that money, man, I seen them black dudes, Joe Brown, all the black dudes turn against. I mean, you can feel whatever kind of way you want to feel, right? But my thing is, I don't like when gangsters try to act too hard in front of women because that's an insecurity. But when a man feel like we've been raised by women. You don't love your mama. Yeah. You don't feel like your auntie who feeds you and take care of you. Like, she may not be the fit, right? Yeah. She may not be the person, but it doesn't mean it has to get personal to the point where you're disrespecting black women. Yeah. So I guess what you're saying is that, are you seeing or hearing? What I keep hearing is that black men are not voting for Kamala. Now, let's be real. Black men are acting like white men. If you think about white women when it comes to voting rights, right? You can think when you whoop your kids, you were doing what Master did to make somebody do something, right? The white man don't want the white woman to run nothing. Hillary wasn't going to win. The white man wasn't going to let her. Now here come Kamala, and here come black men acting just like Kamala. It's Kamala. I ain't want to say that. You sound like you about half a Quran away from selling a bean pie right now. I'm almost there, Tony, man. But I don't want to hate white people. That's why I won't go to no other side. I like white women too much. I like it. I don't like white women, but I like people. I'm sorry, Dr. Umar. And some of my best help has come from all kind of people, man. I got Egyptian friends, Asians. Like, I love people, man.
So as far as my perspective.
And what's her name, Sarge?
Kamala.
Kamala. I ain't gonna get it.
Like the comma. Yeah. When you pause. And then la 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 la.
When she raised them commas. She raised them commas. So Sash, you were saying something.
Just from my perspective in the community, just working with the youth, our main thing is just making sure they go out there and vote. That's the most important thing. Making sure they go out there and vote, and not so much relying on what your parents
making the decision on your own.
Yeah, we gotta learn.
So I know, just for me with my daughter, who is old enough now. She's been old enough for a couple of years to vote, and she is now taking the stance to be able to watch debates and to be able to
because you got a master debater right here, like a master moderator.
You killed that debate, man.
I mean, I ain't want to say nothing.
I be watching debates like football now, man.
But you're basically saying that you've encouraged her to do her own research.
Yeah, just do your own research, and that's what we, just tell all the youth, all the young people, just do your own research.
The funny thing that I find about research is that it's difficult to encourage people to do their own research when the understanding level may not necessarily be there. I can see how people need endorsements to be able to sway them certain ways. Like, I've been reading Project 2025. And Project 2020, and it's a 900+ page document. Yeah. Basically trying to be informed on my own. And most people are talking about, the elimination of certain things. Our last guest on the last episode was talking about, the breakdown of the Department of Education. But the thing that I found most interesting about Project 2025 is that they want to do away with porn. And
that's in there.
See what I'm saying? You gotta become it.
Nah, you can't clap. You can't clap. You can't clap. You can't clap for that.
First of all,
porn stopped me from cheating. I don't care, Tony. I ain't touched nobody still.
Well, but here's the thing about it, though.
You see what happened to Diddy? I ain't touching nobody. Free the porn.
What? You ain't touching nobody. You just touching yourself.
No one. That's it.
Touching yourself.
Now, if I get locked up for that, it's fine. We're gonna press charges on myself.
The thing that I find interesting, though, is that it's considered expression, and when you're talking about the First Amendment, it is protected in the First Amendment. And so, as much as I'm joking about it, it's something that they want to eliminate. And so there are everyday things that we just don't talk about. And I think that we use Project 2025 as a boogeyman. And I get tired of the Democratic Party using a boogeyman to make people
It's trying to add a hero in.
Yeah.
They cause trauma and bullcrap and propaganda, and then somebody gonna come up, I'll save you from this.
So, okay, now here's the thing about what you just said. That is actually Marxism. It comes from Marxism. it's something called the thesis, where you are, and then you have the antithesis, which is the breakdown, and then you have synthesis. And what happens is think of it like a triangle.
Spell that for me so I can look it up after I leave.
You have the thesis, where you are, the status quo, where things are right now.
Okay.
You have the antithesis, which is basically creating a problem. And then you have synthesis, which solves the problem. So it's solving a problem that it created, but in the process of it, you have less rights than what you've always had. And what happens is that continually happens. So you just actually described what you hear many conservatives talk about when they talk about the Democratic Party with Marxism. It's creating a problem and then solving the problem, but in the process of solving the problem, I have to take away some of your rights in order to do so.
Right, I gotta do this right quick. Everybody in the ghetto, I gotta go watch this again, break this down, because I don't know Mark, I don't know Lucien, them, none of that. I'm gonna figure it out and I'm gonna bring it back. See, Tony and Quentin been losing me. I ain't scared to tell y'all. I'm gonna figure it out. I'm gonna go watch it again and break it down.
But that's the purpose of politicking, is that we're here not only to entertain, but also to educate. And with that, we're gonna continue on very shortly. Stick around, we have more, because we're gonna talk about the local election and how rough it's been getting. Stick around, it's politicking, we have more.
Yeah!
Phoenix Air Spa provides its customers with a soothing environment, incomparable professional services, and extraordinary results. Relax, recharge, and re-emerge anew at Phoenix Air Spa, always aesthetically you.
Welcome back to a show that keeps the audience liquored up. It's politicking with yours truly, Tony King here. And we have our guests. We have Johnnie Domino of Ghetto Waze, and of course, former MTV2 VJ, now executive director and founder of the OMG Girlz. We have Miss Sashika Baunchand with us. Number one. Okay, so last block we talked about the national election.
That doesn't matter.
And some of those things that the people that we've been interacting with in the community have been talking about with the national election. But we have probably the most competitive local election that we've seen in some years. The mayoral election, the mayor president.
You call it competitive? Tony.
Of course, we have we have incumbent mayor president current Sharon Weston Broome. We have former Southwest Regional Director of the Small Business Administration, Ted James.
That's right. Homegrown, like the OMG Girlz. Not from Chicago, you know.
Then we have then we have Coach Sid, who's also polling very high.
Allegedly.
Okay, so you talk about allegedly. So the chamber has put out a poll, released a poll that says that Sharon is polling at 29%, and then we have Ted and Coach Sid polling at 23%, which personally I found to be pretty interesting because I had never heard of Coach Sid until he entered into the election. But, you know, and to poll at 23% the day you announce is pretty interesting. But the thing that's interesting also is that he's been an educator for more than 20 years in various schools.
And still don't know what to do in North Baton Rouge. He want to knock down the abandoned houses and put more police in the hood. And you coach black kids. Suck my off, Tony. I'm from the hood, and I know I don't need no house knocked down. I need it revitalized and maybe open up to something. I mean, we need it brought back to life, you know, not knocked down, you know what I mean? And then more police, right? More civil rights lawsuits, more brave cave. No, I'm good.
Well,
we need resources.
Just from watching whenever you moderated.
That amazing.
You did a good job, Tony. Y'all seen that? Hey, forget that. Tony killed it. You killed it, bro. I was all on the TV.
Did somebody just say I was a master debater?
No, that sounds weird.
I just want to know, how did they know?
Anyway,
get out my business.
So, you know, I mean, you had all great, you know, people on the panel.
Yes.
And just some good things from each person. You know, Coach Sid, my daughter went to the school where he was a coach at, and you know, just him being very personable and being able to, hey, if anything, if you need anything, this and that, like he is, you know, awesome in that sense.
I'm gonna be honest, and I don't know him personally. My first time meeting him was following the debate, and the first person who came up to me after the debate was his wife, and she shook my hand and thanked me for the debate. Everyone who I've known who knows him, they have nothing but great things to say about him personally.
Yeah.
But just because you're a good person.
Well, I heard he was a good coach. And I think them kids need him because he ain't vote for nobody in like 10, 12 years.
And I did bring that up.
Hypocritical. I seen people, I was arguing with the people in the comments. Go look back at it. I think they just shouldn't put that up there. Why not? Why would I ask you for a vote? I ain't vote for nobody.
That's
was hypocritical,
man.
That
was actually the second question.
That's why I won't run, because I just started voting. You know what I'm saying? Like, I didn't know what we were voting for. I'm just learning. So I ain't going to be no hypocrite like, I ain't vote for nobody, but vote for me. A hypocrite. Like the kids don't need a coach. No, we don't need you, man. Stay in the Stroomer with the 38 cheering. A Stroomer need him, man. My babies need him. I heard he was a great coach.
Hold on, Saj, go ahead.
But so that's what I'm saying. So all of those candidates have really great things about them.
He's so
all
nice.
of them have really great things.
Talk about Ted, Sashika. What you think about Ted, man? What you think about Pooh James' son went to McKinley?
Ted is amazing. Ted is a really great guy who has, he was actually, whenever he was a state representative.
Oh, he's got experience. Go ahead, keep going.
He honored our organization on the.
He did? Did TT do it too?
On the Senate floor.
TT did that too for you?
And so.
Oh! Wait, hold on.
I'm sorry.
Hold on.
Ted did it before, man.
Hold on. Wait.
He wasn't the mayor, and he did it. I'm sorry. All right. I'm sorry.
Let's be fair and let's not. Go ahead.
And Sharon, our mayor, currently, she has done, amazing things, for
like
our
what?
organization
I want to hear about
as well.
Tell me more.
We're going to be fair, but there are some things that Mayor Broom has done. Like when you were presented and featured on NBC's Today Show. She came out when
and she sent me a personal text just telling me how proud she was of me and my organization.
You cut me off, but NBC, the Today Show, the first time, not the second time.
Yes.
Because you've been featured on there with the Outstanding Mature Girls on multiple occasions. But yes, when you were presented with that award and with the amazing check, the big check, she was there as well, and she was very proud because you're representing Baton Rouge.
Wait, y'all politicking right now because I'm trying to make sure my people understand I ain't got lost. Who gave the award and check? It's a yes or no question. Who gave the Today Show gave you an award check, and when the Today Show came, the TV came, TT came, and then Ted gave you an award before he was mayor, and then there wasn't no cameras there. All right, I was just trying to make sure.
Well, here's the thing. We're being objective here, but the question I want to ask is, as we prepare for this major election, do we think? I know we don't think anybody's going to win outright on election day.
I'm crazy. I think.
You do?
Yeah. Ted kicking butt, man. We out there in them streets every day. Broom people text me every day. Y'all working. You know why they told them don't come over there? It's dangerous if you switch sides.
Wow.
They won't come over there. Ask them people the last time they passed out a flower. I got 4 shirts. I got 4 Ted shirts. See, when you go to a job and they prepare you, that's somebody handling business, baby.
Well, but here's
free the money, huh? I'm listening.
But so are we saying that we don't believe the polls?
I don't. No, I'm not. I don't believe in polls. Look, let me tell you something. We really out there in them streets, man. You know Miss Renee, you know Jesus, and you know me on that internet, man. You ain't gonna miss me. So we like a little dream team. So we knocking on doors. People are calling us to go to their houses and sit in their houses and put that big backdrop up. The big Ted backdrop we keep carrying all over. It done been in more houses than Mayor Broom ever been in 8 years.
So let me ask this question. No, I'm not betting on anything. Let me ask this question.
That backdrop did more for Baton Rouge, man.
If it were to go to a runoff, who do we think would be in the runoff?
I don't know.
I think it would be.
If it went to a runoff.
the mayor right now, Mayor Broom and Ted James.
Yeah, I don't think Sid doing nothing, man. I think they bucking Sid up, man. I can't prove it. If I can vote on the poll type, I want to see the authenticity of the poll. You know
You
what
just
I'm saying?
made that word up.
Yeah, you know what I mean, though. You know,
Authenticity.
You know that right there. Or the poll. I want to see if I could have voted twice. Yeah. Or could I send it to a bunch of people and we keep changing email? I want to see if it's what the validity of it is.
Well, the thing that I find interesting is that, you know, of course, we're in the media. And one thing that I see that is really interesting to me is that you have personal interest of some of those in media, i.e., the founders and editors of newspapers, like you know, both in Central and in St. George, done by the same person.
Yeah.
And they're all promoting one person and saying that one person is endorsed by an entire city. And with that, they also are doing hit pieces against one candidate, not even against two candidates.
And I know you don't want to say no names, and I know all the people you talking about right now, but them same people brought that same person back in 1988. You see, I went to look at the ethics, but it stopped at 99. So I've been in the basement trying to find out who took out Pearl George in 1988 and who was behind them.
You talking about famed civil rights figure and also former Metro Councilwoman Pearl George.
Real black council member. Not no house one, not no house. Real.
Yeah.
You know. Who would take her out? Because I had some of them in council right now, I wouldn't want to take that out. But everything I want to take out, I want to take out for a reason. Just the North looking bad, Tony. And during this election season, we've been getting a lot done, finally, in the North. But the Queen of the South, she's...
You talking about North Baton Rouge?
Yes, North Baton Rouge.
So I have to pass through, you know, my exit, when I exit the interstate to go home is Southern University exit. And
you need a front end alignment?
I do.
Yeah, I know.
Actually, now I do. So, you know, after leaving South Baton Rouge and then driving on home, I'm like, wow, it's really nothing here. Like, it's really, it's boring.
Yeah.
Like, it's really nothing here.
But the South.
In North Baton Rouge.
The college in the South.
I'm like, they
even
have
the community
everything.
college in the South. I mean, there's options. You can walk.
There are options for food,
And if I gave you a budget, if I just had you took my taxes every time, I gave you a budget, and you supposed to fix things. If you a black Democrat, what you gonna fix first?
Well, but here's the thing. To be fair, the Metro Council is 7-5 Republican to Democrat. So it is uneasy, and they have to vote on everything, all of the spending measures, all of that. So they have to approve of that. So the issue may not necessarily, I'm just playing devil's advocate, the issue may not necessarily be just with the CEO of the city. It could also be with the fact that there are 7 representatives who don't represent the interests of those in the North.
And we do have a problem with the 7-5, right? You got two more that they're going to always win. They don't even want to do 6-6. They scared to be deadlocked because they want to go home at night. They don't want to sit in there all day if we deadlock it. But the city majority black now. But my thing is, I think we got enough black people that we do have in there to where it need to be more fighting. Like, they tiptoe around it. They tiptoe around that 7-5. I like what Eugene said in District 10. Now, 7-5 is still a problem, and I don't care if I ain't saying that to get your vote. 7-5 is a problem. We need them kind of people in office who like not going along with things.
I believe,
because I can't watch one side get everything. I don't give a damn what the numbers are.
I think the issue with that is more about the misrepresentation of the population of Baton Rouge versus one person. Now, I'm not saying, again, I'm not saying either or, but I'm saying that 7-5 is something that really hurts.
I got to look it up. I'm going to go ahead and put this online since you talked about it. But only certain amounts had to be approved by the council.
Okay.
You know what I'm saying? It's certain amounts had to be. It's numbers that go up that's under the threshold that can go on all day.
You know what I mean? You know what I sit and think about is what Anthony Anderson said, and not the comedian, the one that was on your show.
Yes, Quentin Anderson. Quentin Anthony Anderson.
Quentin Anthony Anderson. You know, just what he was saying as far as, you know, people are collecting money ahead, you know, when it's political season from politicians and not worrying about what they're doing, you know, on the back end.
Leave those politicians alone, okay?
Yes.
Yeah.
So, you know, we have to, you know, this is what, you know, our youth, and this is what just local community organizations have to be aware of. Like, you cannot sit by every single time and let a candidate or let someone just run you over completely.
Why the city play so slow? I want to know why the city play so slow.
Well, you asking the wrong person, Johnny.
That's what I want to know.
Well,
my job be saying, everybody be saying the city plays slow. Like every contract I done had, they be like, we waiting on the city, dog.
Well, I'm
waiting on the city, dog.
I'm shocked you get contracts, you know.
Man, I'm not no more. I took a stance and the world changed.
We have 2 major elections. We want to encourage you, regardless of who you vote for, make sure you get out the vote. You still have a chance to register online. Go to the Go Vote app or log on to the Secretary of State's website. Sash, Johnny, thank you all. As always. Welcome back to a show where the craziest stuff happens during commercial break. It's Politicking with Tony King, powered by Service First Real Estate. With the presidential election right around the corner, we want to encourage you to hurry and register to vote. Like I said last segment, here in Louisiana, you still have until October 15th to register online. But after that, we want you to make an informed decision. I mean, I don't want you to just vote for somebody because some celebrity said so. Because some of these celebrity endorsements are crazy. Which brings us to tonight's Top 5, the Top 5 craziest celebrity presidential endorsements. Coming in at number 5, Kid Rock endorses President Trump. What? I mean, why would you ever trust a guy with a mullet on who to vote for president? A mullet and a handlebar mustache. Come on now. Coming in at number 4, former All-Pro wide receiver Antonio Brown also endorses Trump. Boy, that CTE is a hell of a thing. Coming in at number 3, I hate to do it, Megan Thee Stallion endorses Vice President Harris. Now, this one is not so much the endorsement as much as it was her performing WAP at the announcement rally. Coming in at number 2, Amber Rose endorses President Trump. I'm starting to notice most of these endorse President Trump. Why would you trust somebody who has this tattooed on their forehead?
Paper gang.
And coming in at number 1, Caitlyn Jenner endorses Trump.
That's my God.
When asked why she endorsed President Trump, she said because of his hard stance against trans. Pause. And that's going to do it for tonight's show. Special thanks goes to Quentin. Anthony Anderson. We encourage you to visit his website, find out more about his campaign at anderson2024.org. Also, thanks to our panel guest, founder and executive director of the Outstanding Mature Girlz, Sashika Baunchand, and founder of Ghetto Waze, Johnnie Domino. Remember, you still have time to register online. Register at the Secretary of State's website, or you can go to the Go Vote app. Find out all the information for Election Day. You can even start voting early. It's coming soon. We want you to exercise your right. Yeah. And until next time, it's Politicking with Tony King, powered by Service First Real Estate. We out!